Hello, there's a camera. Hello, hello everybody. This is Kenny the Puppy, and I'm here with an experimental kind of stream. Oh great, I have the whole, if I move around it gets blurry. Yeah, okay, I don't know how to fix that, I'm sorry. So yeah, for this stream, I am testing out, I like gaming, I like animating, and I also like writing. And a part of writing is the books I write. And so I figured I might share on YouTube and Twitch and just share my enjoyments of writing and storytelling by streaming myself reading and reading the books that I write. And this one is Happy Papy. It's a book that I finished about a year ago or so. And everyone on I write them on Wattpad, so everyone on there has like really liked it and stuff, so I figured I'd start off with this one because it's already finished. And so anyway, this is a test thing just to be sure. Let me see if it's streaming on Twitch and on YouTube. All right, double streaming here. Let's just see, I was messing with the settings, so ooh, nice. How it's set up is a bit strange. Oh, I should have put on my jacket. Okay, why is it taking... Okay, I shouldn't have put on my jacket. Oh no! I messed it all up. Yeah, whatever. Jacket looks cool. Jacket looks cool, and my hair doesn't. Oh my gosh. Okay. But yeah, that's the side. It's not like a mirror. Okay, whatever. Yeah. So anyway, check it. Yay. Crab. Yay. Everything's set up and ready to go. Yay. No viewers. Yay. So anyway, let's just go ahead and start this. Happy Papy, Chapter 1. And I'll just be reading chapters 1 through 2, because Chapter 1, as you guys can see, is like... Here's the camera. Chapter 1, as you guys can see, is like 3,000 words. I have this in edit mode so you don't see the ads or anything, because there are ads. No. So, Chapter 1. Oh yeah, maybe I'll go over... Okay, the description basically is Hero Brian, who's the main character, typical fan fiction stuff. This is pretty much, he was evil at one point, but now he's good. And this is several years after he changed his ways and became a good person. But only problem is he's having a hard time with his like guilt and all this kind of stuff, and so yeah, it deals with that kind of stuff. Chapter 1. I woke up that day with the same feeling as always. I just laid there in my unnecessarily large comfy bed and just hoped the day would be over and hope the day could be over with already so I could fall back to sleep. I couldn't shut my glowing white eyes. I didn't even like anymore. Even though they could be useful at times. They mostly just scared people, however. Even after all the things I had done to repay the world for the destruction I had caused in my youth, I had been busy doing nothing but helping others for the past almost 3 years. However, sickening feeling... Sorry. However, the sickening feeling never left me. Even if the world eventually forgave me, I would never be able to forgive myself. My younger brother was killed by my own hands, and after I had promised to protect him too. And my twin had been memory wiped and sent to a random point in time as an experiment so many years ago. By me. I never saw him again. I heard a gentle knock on the door of my room and groaned, rolling over in my bed while pulling the blankets over my head. I heard the knock again. Go in, let me sleep, I grumbled from under my blankets. I really wasn't in the mood for anything. Lord Herobrine. Excuse me if I butcher this accent, I'm sorry. I heard Fred, one of the Wither skeletons, speak through the door. I said leave, so go away. I growled a little louder. However, I didn't hear the sound of his bony feet leaving me to be alone. I then heard the small creak of the larger-than-normal wood door opening, and a beam of light shining in through my covers. I hissed under the blankets at the light and grabbed a pillow. I then proceeded in throwing it across the room and at the cracked open door. Fred saw the pillow coming and closed the door quickly to be used as a shield against my wrath. But to my unliking, the door opened once again. Lord Herobrine, there is a slight matter just outside the corridors, Fred informed. I was annoyed with Fred, but always liked keeping him around because of his nice English accent. That fit his role as butler pretty well. Oh my gosh. Forgot I even had that in there. That, and he sounded smart. I grumbled once more, but decided to finally get my lazy self up. So I rolled out of bed and slowly walked towards the door. Fred just watched my depressed figure as emotionless as always. Oh yeah, by the way, no one's watching, but by the way, if you guys have any questions about just the book in general, I'm happy to answer them. Yeah, I can answer questions. That's one thing I like about the idea of streaming this, is so that people can kind of react or whatever. They can be like, oh no, like what's gonna happen? You know? Or they can ask questions and stuff, like maybe behind the scenes stuff. So yeah, that's one reason I decided to try live streaming this. Okay. All right, what is the problem? I asked Fred once at the door. There appear to be 3 humans near the entrance. We have not been able to identify them as a threat or not, sir. Perhaps you could speak with them? Fred suggested. I straightened myself a little and tried to match Fred's height. Yeah?
Hey, do you want me or Daddy to try to help you find your email that you know from that pizza place?
Maybe a little bit.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you think you can close my door? Yes, thank you. Hi. Okay, where was I? First oh yeah. First, I straightened myself a little and tried to match Fred's height. However, inside I knew I would never be getting any taller. I didn't like being shorter than those who worked for me very much. Or anyone, I guess. Probably one reason I like Minecraft so much, because everyone is so similar in size. Also, behind the scenes thing, in another book, Hazel, which is pretty much just this universe, but like a parallel, universe where you have like the same kind of people, but just different world. I like, it's pretty much the same kind of Herobrine. So with this, I was kind of hinting at Hazel, because the Herobrine in there has the same insecurity of being shorter than like Enderman and stuff. And so I don't know. I just put that in there just because they're essentially the same character, but just with different life experiences. So just to let you know, there is a connection there. Okay, all right, I'll go check it out. I then grabbed the old diamond sword off my wall and walked over to the front doors. I was in no rush to teleport, since there hadn't been any explosions so far. I figured it was just a few teens daring each other to break in or something. but I kept my sword with me in case it happened to be more. Spelling. Once at the door, I straightened again and opened it casually. Once outside the large doors, I looked left and right. I didn't spot anything unusual, so I turned to walk back inside. But then I heard a few quiet whispers and a couple harsh shushes. The voices intrigued me, since they sounded far too young to be in the Nether. I then decided to take another look. That time around, I saw 3 forms crouched or sitting down against the Nether brick walls. I could tell they were overheated by the Nether's heat, and were attracted to the brick's cold touch. I myself, oh my gosh, their feet. I myself liked that the Nether bricks acted as built-in conditioning, so my never got too hot. Yeah, consistency with plot and other books. Okay, I looked closer at the 3 and saw that they were indeed children. 1 girl and 2 boys. The oldest looked probably 14 or 15, so I guess a teenager. He had slightly long, curly black hair that ended just above his shoulders, and for an outline, he wore some. Outfit. And for an outfit, he wore some leather armor over casual-looking clothes. In his right hand was a wooden sword. The second oldest was a girl. She looked maybe 11 and had sandy blonde hair that went down to her back, and a pair of large dark purple glasses on her face. She didn't have any armor like the oldest. She was doing DNA scans when I first met someone, so I knew right away that all 3 had been born by the same parents. And the youngest, I could tell, had been the one whispering earlier, because he looked almost terrified by the worried shushes his older siblings had given him. The youngest looked only 4 or 5, and he had yellowish blonde hair and sky blue eyes. The oldest had dark brown eyes, and the girl had grayish blue eyes. Just like a background thing is that these characters right here are based off of actual friends of mine. I pretty much just like got actual friends of mine, but then just said they're younger. So yeah. Okay, the 3 didn't even seem to notice me at first. Wait, okay, you can see my mouse, yay. The 3 didn't even seem to notice me at first. Where I stood was slightly higher up the wall, but all 3 looked around like terrified mice for anything that might want to spook them. They didn't have to worry about the mobs around here, however. I made sure they only fought back in self-defense, or if someone tried to kill me indirectly. I might eventually want to change that last part, though, because the sooner I'm gone, the better. I knew I would eventually just muck everything up and probably cause even more trouble for myself and everyone around me. Finally, the youngest looked up directly into my eyes and let out a little yelp. I just stood as still as a statue, while watching all 3 slowly notice me. Once the oldest saw me, he put on his warrior face and stood, holding his sword in front of him. I couldn't help but smile at his bravery. I could tell just by looking at his face that he knew he couldn't kill me, but hoped to scare me off. "Don't worry, kids. I won't hurt you," I chuckled as I threw my old diamond blade onto the floor in front of the oldest, to show I was no threat. He quickly crouched down to grab it, keeping an eye on me at all times. "We're not kids. Now leave us or die," he attempted to threat. I just chuckled more as my smile grew. This kid was funny. He only frowned at my little laugh, the first time I had laughed a non-evil laugh for a long time. Fine, I'll leave you 3 alone, but this is my castle. You know that, right?" As I told them, the 2 oldest jumped away from it as if it suddenly became lava. The youngest didn't seem to quite understand why he had been jerked away from the source of coldness. So he put on a slight pouty face. The three then began backing away a little, the brother in front of the sister and the sister in front of the little boy. I just looked at them with a slight smile as I remembered my own brothers and the way I had felt about protecting them. An idea came to mind, so I teleported into the kitchen. While rummaging through chests, I imagined all three of the kids standing back to back, looking all around, waiting for me to reappear. I teleported back to exactly where I had been before, and sure enough, I saw them exactly as I had imagined. All three standing back to back, looking around everywhere anxiously. Once they all saw me, all eyes turned my way. I did what I guessed they weren't expecting. I tossed the 3 bottles of water onto the floor in front of them. They just stared down at the bottles, as if waiting for them to explode. "Don't worry, it's just water. Figured you 3 were thirsty," I said before walking back to the door. I just let them contemplate about whether it was poisoned or not, which I was sure was running through at least the older two's minds. I then walked around my castle and checked on all the farms and such to see how they were doing. After a bit, I decided to see if the kids were still there. I opened the door to look where they had been, and they were still there, sitting against the wall like before. I looked at the floor near them and saw all 3 bottles empty. I smiled, knowing they had some hydrogen, but wondered why they were still here. Why are you 3 still here?" I questioned. All heads snapped towards me, and they looked startled by my presence, but not terrified like before. "Well, the oldest tried to respond. "We can't go back to our home or we'll get arrested," the youngest said in a cute little boy voice. His siblings quickly hushed him. "And why is that?" I asked the little boy with a kind voice as I leaned against the wall with my eyes fixated on his little innocent face. He didn't really seem to fear me very much. Refreshing after so long with people only wanting to kill me. The little boy looked like he was about to speak, but was cut off by his older sister. "Teddy, no, that guy is Herobrine," she warned him. "Teddy, huh? And what are your guys' names?" I asked with a little smirk. I then looked directly at the older two and let them think about answering. They just stared at me blankly, as if waiting for me to go away. "Hey, I ain't leaving until I get an answer. And I am bored and I'm a bored immortal, so oh my gosh, I spelled it wrong. I'm a bored immortal, so don't think I'm just bluffing." Yeah, this was before I wrote an entire book where like these characters were called immortals, so I didn't know how to spell immortal yet, but now I do cuz I say immortal a lot. I didn't get an immediate response from them after saying that. But then, finally, it looked like the girl gave in. "My name is Madeline," she said simply, with little emotion. "And, mine's Sebastian," the oldest said, as more of a growl. "And, mine's Sebastian," as more of a growl. "Well, I can tell you two already know who I am," I chuckled. "But just so you know, I became good almost 2 years ago, and have... Oh, it wasn't 3 years ago. Huh. and have been trying to make up for my madness ever since," I informed. The oldest, Sebastian, just looked angry, like I had said something wrong. "Listen, if you are trying to make us forgive you, it won't work. You killed our parents," Sebastian shouted. I just blinked at his sudden raised volume. For a little bit, I didn't even know he could do anything but growl. It suddenly hit me that I had ruined these little innocent kids' lives. No, apostrophe problems. Ah. In some lives some time ago, and felt it throwing and felt like throwing myself into the nearest lava sea because of the guilt I felt. However, being immortal doesn't make things like burning to death easy, or even possible. Instead, I just faced the nearest wall and punched it. Several blocks in front of and around my fist shattered and made a hole in my wall. I looked back and could tell they saw the guilt in me, but didn't trust me anyway. Well, except for Teddy, who just looked at the hole in the wall with amazement. I'm sorry for your loss. But can you please just go back to the overworld? It isn't safe here. I spoke quietly, keeping myself from shouting as best I could. I then turned to the doors. We can't, Madeline called out, as if he I mean, as if it had been building up for quite some time. We were caught stealing something and have been on the run ever since. My face softened. What did you steal? I asked, with zero emotion, as I kept my back to them. Madeline, don't! Sebastian tried to stop her from answering. We broke into Minecraftia's biggest vault and tried taking the Book of Portals along with a bunch of diamonds. Madeline ignored her brother to answer. My shoulders lost their tension, and I finally turned around to see that all three of them had sad and full of guilt looks on their faces, especially Madeline. Trust me, you guys don't have to feel so bad. You did nothing compared to me, I told all three. We weren't comparing, Sebastian snapped bluntly. I just turned around and left through the door. As I walked down the hallway, I wondered even how a few kids could break into the least creatively named Minecraftia's Grand Vault. A vault even I couldn't break into, with ease at least. I walked around a bit until I felt a small hand grab mine. A volt of shock shook through me, and I had to stop myself from turning around, summoning a new sword, and slaying whoever was there, all in one motion. I had to keep myself from doing so, because first I had to figure out if the person who had just grabbed me was a threat. I didn't want to be responsible for yet another innocent life lost. I felt the small hand shake a little in response to my jump. The person had obviously not expected my reaction, but the hand didn't let go. I turned my head to look over my shoulder and had to look down to see who was holding my hand. I then saw yellowish blonde hair and light blue, innocent-looking eyes, the eyes looking up at me as if saying thank you. It was then that I realized the eyes and the hair belonged to Teddy, who had somehow gotten inside and found me. How did you get in here? I asked the little boy. Can you help me, sir? Me, Maddie, and Baz come in through the hole you made. We were walking, and I saw a open door. I went in and saw a bunch of food. I was hungry, so I ate it. Then I couldn't find Maddie and Baz, Teddy told me. As he told his tale, I grew more and more teary-eyed until I was practically... okay. Teddy told me, as he told me this, he grew more and more teary-eyed until he was practically crying at the end. For some reason, I was like, wait a minute, Herobrine was crying? I don't remember that. Baz? Was my question. Then I figured it was probably Sebastian's nickname or something. Maddie was pretty easy to tell that it was Madeline's nickname. Well, by the sound of it, seems like you last saw them around the kitchen. Let's go there, I said, trying to slide my hands out of the little boy's. But he had a firm grip and just would not let go of me. I quickly sighed and gave up trying to pull away, and just started leading him to the kitchen. Hello. Yeet. Okay, yeah, no one's watching. Sorry, I'm sorry. Okay. I thought of teleporting, but that kind of stuff usually hurts your head the first few times, and I didn't want Teddy to be in pain. I also thought we might possibly run into his older siblings along the way. He finally reached the we finally reached the kitchen and found two others. Oh, I just realized I'm reading the wrong thing. We finally reached the kitchen and found two others digging through the chests greedily for food. I smirked when I pictured their faces as they turned around and saw me. Like, kind of turned around to see me, so he's talking about picturing their faces in the future tense, sort of. If future tense isn't a thing, but if it was, that's what it would be. And yeah. Okay, here it is. I cleared my throat a little to get their attention. They both turned around with like ocelots and stared at me wide-eyed. The kitchen lights were turned off, and with me standing in front of the only source of light, the door, I probably looked pretty scary, with my glowing eyes and all. I turned on the lights using my mind so it wouldn't appear scary to them, hopefully. The two still looked pretty scared, though. Then they noticed Teddy. They looked like they wanted to run to him and pull him away from me, but were worried I might hurt him or something. It's all right. I won't hurt him, I said smoothly as possible, as I pried my hand from the young boy's grip. Then Teddy ran to his siblings and hugged them both happily. I smiled, seeing all three happy at once. Teddy, is Madeline. Teddy, what were you doing with Herobrine? Madeline scolded. Oh my gosh. Scolded, when done being glad her brother was all right. I got lost. I saw Herobrine and asked him for help. Teddy pleaded to his sister. Then both Sebastian and Madeline looked at me surprised. What? I said I had changed, was all I said. Sebastian looked away with his untrusting frown, but Madeline looked thankful. Thanks, Herobrine, she said, with just a little bit of a thankful tone in her words. It was still better than nothing. Okay. You're welcome. Now, do you guys want anything? I asked, as I hinted to the food laying around about. The two oldest quickly put on guilty looks. Don't worry about it. I have an endless supply of food, and am the only one here who actually eats, I chuckled. So take the whole chest if you want. Wow, thanks, Madeline said with a genuine smile, right before turning around and picking up a fistful of potatoes. Sebastian did the same, but without a thanks. Teddy jumped from chest to chest and opened each one excitedly, but looked sad when he didn't find what he wanted. He finally opened a chest and squealed when he saw his heart's desire. He then leaned into the chest, almost falling in, and pulled out a handful of cookies. I smiled at his excitement as he showed them to everyone, including me. Teddy didn't hesitate in eating them right away, then and there. After that, he looked pretty satisfied with his hunger and began looking around excitedly at the kitchen. Teddy then turned his attention to me and ran over, jumping all around in front of me. I probably shouldn't have let him eat all those cookies. Can I see the rest of your castle, Herobrine, can I? He asked while jumping around me. I chuckled and looked at the other two. Sebastian still looked like he wanted to kill me in my sleep, while Madeline was looking at least a little more trusting. She mostly just watched Teddy as he happily jumped around me. Well, I don't see why not, I chuckled lightly as I tried to keep my eyes on the little boy. Well, I don't see why not. But he was moving so fast it was hard to keep up. Yeah! He squealed and ran out the door, expecting me to follow. Teddy, wait! We need to find a... Teddy, wait! We need to find a place to stay first, Sebastian called out the door Teddy had left open. Then an idea came to mind. I wouldn't mind it if you three stayed here until you find a better place to stay, I suggested. This place is so big, I wouldn't be able to hear you most of the time anyway. Unless Teddy finds my secret stash of cake, of course, I chuckled. Madeline did too. Nah. Nah. We will be going as soon as possible, right, Madeline? Sebastian said with a little muffled growl at the end, hinting at Madeline to agree with him. I don't think it would be that bad of a problem if we stay here. Just for one night, Madeline suggested. Sebastian just huffed at her, at her response in disagreement. And I am pretty sure we all know Teddy's opinion. As if on cue, Teddy's voice was then heard echoing through the halls. You blind, hurry up! I chuckled and walked out the door. Sebastian and Madeline followed not too far behind. And from that point, I showed off the rooms of all kinds. The training room, farm rooms, portal room, dining room, arena room, map room, and the many halls. Also, it's also the exact same castle that you'd see in Hazel. So I went into a lot more detail in that book because a lot of it also takes place in that. I don't know. I have this weird thing with like the alternate dimensions where I focus on this thing here in this one book, and then in another book it's like the same setting and everything, so I feel like I don't really have to describe anything, and it's just more of like a fun little Easter egg that, if you want to, if you read that book and then you're like, oh, that's cool, it's kind of it, then yeah, you have extra info, behind the scenes stuff, so you can know exactly what the arena room looked like, and it's almost like being like the whoa, I remember that kind of thing. It's just, I don't know, for me as a writer, writing different alternate dimension stuff, I think it's just fun having the ability to do little things like that. Anyway, I think too much about my books and alternate dimensions. Someone was Scar was like, hey, I want to write like a fan fiction of this book, so like a fan fiction of a fan fiction, and I was like, okay, here's the basic lore. Oh my gosh, like paragraphs worth. It was really sad. I still regret doing that just because, she didn't need to know all the background information. Okay, anyway, back to the book. Wait a minute, why do I have this on? There's no audio. I'll just have this off. Yeah, I don't have any use for the headphones. Alright. Yeah, it isn't like I have to listen to anything. Oh. Focus. Camera, hello. Focus on me, please. Okay, it'll focus eventually. I might only be able to read like chapter 1 because this is pretty insane. Chapter 1 is very long. Why aren't you focusing? Hello? Oh, it's focusing now. It's okay, it's focused. Okay. Okay. And from that point, I showed off room. Oh, never mind. Castle room. My castle was far from child-friendly, so I tried my best to deactivate most of the traps as we went along. The kids all seemed to enjoy the place. Even Sebastian showed a small smile as he saw some of the rooms. Mainly the rooms with armor and weapons in them. After a while, however, the kids showed obvious signs of being tired, mostly Teddy, who was even dragging his feet on the floor and ready to faint any minute. Even I began to feel a little tired. Let me see. Okay. Alright, let's go find a room for you all to stay in, I said plainly, when my eyes told me that they were finally ready to close. Can you carry me, Hugh O'Brien? Teddy moaned from behind me. I shook my head as politely as I could, since it wasn't exactly my role to carry him. That was a big brother or parent thing, maybe uncle. I'll carry you, Teddy, Sebastian suggested. Then he let Teddy climb onto his back and started following me as I navigated towards the nearest guest bedroom. I thought it kind of cute seeing Sebastian carrying his little brother on his back, and Teddy dozed off to the calming rocking motion, resting his chin on Sebastian's shoulder. We eventually made it to the guest bedroom, which just so happened to be a few turns away from my room. They would never dare go into my room. I had a do not enter sign on the door. Smiley face. 'Cause back then I was real cringe. We be cringing and putting smiley faces in our books. Oh yeah. Let me see right here. Yeah, I can't see that thing right there, so can I see it now? Oh, oh wait, I'm already looking at that. Okay, never mind. Sorry. Technical difficulties. Okay. The guest bedroom only had one large bed, but the three didn't seem to mind as they tiredly crawled in and laid on the same one. Sebastian sat up in bed while Madeline tucked herself and Teddy in. He looked up at me and scowled. You can leave now, he huffed. I stepped back by the sudden rudeness and teleported out of there into my own room. It was then that I realized I had gone through the entire day in my pajamas. Well, I guess they were exactly like my everyday attire, but just a softer fabric. It was still funny to think about as I curled under my large blankets and shut my eyes. And that night, I fell asleep quicker than I had in a long time. All right. That's the end of chapter 1, everybody. You excited for the end of chapter 1? I think. Oh, it actually says there is someone live. Oh, on Twitch. Hello. Wait a minute. I have followers on Twitch? How is that thing? Okay, okay, so yeah, now we're gonna go on to chapter 2. One moment. Oh, yeah. Chapter 2. Yeah. Okay. Continuing. Hello, my one follower. So yeah. Chapter 2. Still Happy Papy. With 2,544 words. I woke up in a cold sweat, panting heavily as if I had been holding my breath the entire night. Once I was sitting up, I wondered why I had been... Hey, wait, I can just move my microphone up closer, so maybe just a tiny bit better audio. Yeah, I usually have to move it further away, but I'm not playing any video games right now, so I can have it right here. Hello, okay. Hello, microphone. Oh yeah, you guys can't see my crab, I just remembered. This is my crab. He's off to the side, so you guys can't see him, but in this thing over here, I can see him, so I thought you guys could. Oops. Okay. Anyways, back to I woke up in a cold sweat, panting heavily as if I had been holding my breath the entire night. Once I was sitting up, I wondered why I had woken up in the first place. Then I remembered that it had been a bad nightmare. A nightmare, which had woken me up. I then remembered the nightmare itself. It had been a weird one for sure. All it was a slideshow of third-person, slow-motion instances in my life. like kind of imagine pictures, but it's like in third person of Herobrine, third person. Okay. All instances that made me despise myself, and being reminded of them didn't help any. There was one of me burning villages, me killing people, me killing my younger brother, me wiping my twin's mind. I didn't put that there, but okay. Me killing more, me destroying more, me enslaving those strong enough to do my bidding, me, just me. And through the whole thing, a voice, possibly even mine, but I wasn't able to even recognize it as a voice. It kept telling me the same time, the same time, the whole time. The same thing the whole time? Okay. Slowly growing in seriousness and volume. Fix it. 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 Like, it is fix it. Fix it. What? It's like that. Okay. Just remembering the whole thing made me shiver under my blankets. I decided to just lay back down and go back to sleep, since I still felt a little tired. But my mind wouldn't let me. It kept bustling, trying to find out how I could fix it. Then it hit me, as if my mind had known all along, but just needed some time to think it over. Time travel. Yes, time travel in Happy Pappy Boys. We got time travel in Minecraft. Woohoo! Yes, it was the perfect idea. I had sent my brother back in time once. Why couldn't I send myself? It would be very risky, however, and last time I did that, it took every ounce of my energy, and several weeks to recover. Maybe I would upgrade the machine I had made a while back, so it doesn't take as much energy. Of course, I couldn't help but think back to one of the strangest images in my dream, one that stood out and didn't make any sense. One of the images from my dream was of me in my changing moments. The very instant I finally wrapped my head around everything and realized all I had done. That was the guiltiest I had ever felt in my life, when all I had done finally hit me. And of course, that moment didn't seem to fit with all the others. All the others were death and destruction, showing what I had done to the world. The other one stood out, was simply me looking into the sunset, just thinking. It didn't make any sense. Also, this isn't really an official, what's it called? Not an official sequel, but I am writing a prequel for it. I am not entirely sure how it's going to go about, because I started writing it a long time ago, but I haven't finished it yet, so it's a very in the air kind of project, but pretty much a lot of this stuff refers to that book too. I was writing this knowing the whole story, and then finally I was like, fine, I'll just write a book anyway, so yeah. Okay, actually I was writing that book first, but then I got so interested in what would happen afterwards that I just wrote this book. It happens a lot more often than you might realize. Okay. I would have to save that thought for later, because I needed to get to work right away. I needed to work on my old time machine once again. Oh, time travel. So I slid myself out of bed, that time in a thought-set hurry, and teleported to my lab underneath the castle. Only I or Enderman could enter there, because there were no doors or windows. The place was dark and dusty. No one had been there in years. I turned on the lights with my mind and walked over to the old desk, where I had a file full of blueprints. Those who knew me well enough know how much of an inventor I am. Another book. Another book I canceled. I might uncancel it though, because like the memories, I don't know, I had a whole book of him as like a teenager starting to invent things and all this kind of stuff, so yeet. See, I like telling the story of one character through many different books, so you get a much broader of like what the character's like. I don't know. I just here's my hand. Hello. Okay. It isn't like a mirror. It's weird. So anyway, yeah, I liked doing that with this character. Just like you learn more about the character out of the consistencies of what he's like throughout all these books instead of just simply just being told. So you get to know like kind of what is a core thing that he's really like versus what is just situational, something that changed his life and stuff. So yeah, because in some stories he's a good guy because this happened. To other stories he's a bad guy because this happened. But there's always that those like bits of consistency. And yeah, complicated stuff. I'm just gonna stop talking about that. Okay, the place was dark and Steve spend. Okay, oh yeah, inventor I am. Steve and I used to spend most of our free time tinkering on all kinds of stuff together. I even had an old shop in the real world I could sometimes visit and work on things I couldn't in the game or over there. Yeah, that's where the destination would be. I pulled out some blueprints I had hidden under the shelves so no one doing a quick scoop could find it. Snoop? Oh, Snoop. Okay. I grabbed the whole folder and looked at it closely. The first page in there was something I had seen in a dream and did my best to replicate it on paper. For a long time, I had no idea what it even was, and that I had drawn. Well, what it even was that I had drawn. But years later, as I started researching time travel, I had realized what I had drawn were indeed simplified blueprints of how to make a time travel possible. This part right here I actually based off of real life because I actually did have a dream one time that was just a random picture of blueprints. And so on like when I woke up just before I just forgot everything, I quickly drew it down on a piece of paper. I don't even know where it is anymore, but there was a moment where I was like, well, it'd be interesting if something like that happened in a book of mine, so I don't know. I still don't even know what I'd done. It looked kind of like it could have been a machine. I don't know. Yeah, anyway. I then pulled out my second blueprints, which were much more detailed because that time I understood what I was trying to accomplish. However, they were not perfect, so I made another, and another, and another, each time using old drawings as a reference. Each time using the old drawing as a reference. I looked through each one, all of them both missing and adding something to the one from before. Finally, I pulled out my most recent two. I hadn't been able to decide which was right, so I just flipped a diamond and decided that way. Maybe I would try making the second one to see if it would work any better. Both of them had a very similar shape and function, so all I would really have to do was remake the older one, but using the second blueprints instead of the first. In the back of my head, I couldn't help but feel as if I was missing something so simple, so obvious, but just out of comprehension. I chose to ignore that tantalizing thought and get to work right away. Oh yeah, one thing that I was originally going to do was have it to where, he has the two blueprints, but he has to cross-reference them to combine them. But I just ended up skipping that. But originally that's what I was gonna do. Like he has the old original drawing, then this one, and neither of them are working very well, so he has to combine the two. And it's the ultimate time travel machine. I don't know, maybe I can still do that in a different book or something. Okay, okay. I wasn't sure how much time had passed when I was interrupted from my work by a familiar voice with an English accent. Oh, Fred. Oh, thank Notch! Fred exclaimed, with as much excitement as he could muster. There you are, Lord Herobrine. I was worried you had found a way. Okay. There you are, Lord Herobrine. I was worried you had found a way to, well, He trailed off, mumbling. I just grunted and looked up at him as I crawled from underneath the machine attempt 2. How did you even get in here, Fred? I grumbled as I wiped my dirty hands on my shirt. I guess I would be needing new pajamas soon. Because dirty, Okay, forgot I was wearing them again. You gave me the ability to teleport a few years back, Fred reminded me. Oh, I said with no emotion. Well, I'm fine. How long have I been down here anyway? I decided to ask since time was brought back to mind. Well, I'm not quite sure when you arrived here. However, I would have to guess somewhere around 5 to 7 hours, Fred said. That rhymes, Fred said. Wow, I was so genius. Okay. I jumped back in astonishment. What? 5 to 7 hours? Have the kids already left? I am afraid not, sir. They seem to be making themselves at home here. It is almost impossible trying to keep up with them at all, especially the little one, Fred informed. I just chuckled. Sounds like Teddy. Just make sure none of them fall into any lava, all right? You have my word, sir. After saying that, Fred teleported off, and I continued working. It was actually pretty nice, finally having a goal set to set my mind to. Seemed to give me purpose, This reminds me a lot of Mortalized. Just the overall character. I know with Mortalized I'm gonna be I actually got this idea whenever I was writing Mortalized, and I was like, what would be interesting would be if I had something to read books so people could listen to them. I don't know why Mortalized, because Mortalized is not something that you'd want for like kids or potentially just I don't know, just because it's very violent. It's probably one of my most mature rated ones, just because I actually pretty commonly have more mature themes, if you can't tell from this book right here. But that one is like really on the nose, really on the nose. So yeah. Wait. I still have a viewer. Wow, it's probably just myself, but okay. Yeah, and it doesn't say I'm watching it, but I don't know. It's probably just myself. Anyway, back to the book. Okay, several seemed to give me purpose. Okay. After what I knew had to be several hours later, I heard teleporting once again. I didn't acknowledge Fred that time because I was busy working on a delicate step that took a lot of my focus to get done. I was laying on my back, again underneath the machine. I thought this part was later in the story, but okay. Again underneath the machine while carefully implanting a time core shard, one of the last ones remaining, into a very specific spot in the motor. Then I heard the voice I wasn't expecting. Hello, Herobrine? Hello, Herobrine? Chatty little Teddy piped up from somewhere around me. I jumped, startled, and almost dropped the shard. Good thing I caught it in time. I'm sorry, sir. I couldn't handle his miserable wailing noises any longer. Teddy just wouldn't stop pestering me about seeing you. Amazing accent. Fred panted in defeat and hopelessness. He sounded pretty miserable. I just growled. Comma problems is also something I haven't pointed out, but there's a lot of little comma things that. So yeah. It's not very okay. I growled too quietly for anyone to hear. Then I heard shuffling around my head and saw Teddy army crawling under the machine towards me. I tried to ignore him so I could finish, panicking inside to hurry up. The worst thing would be for a 4-year-old to break one of the last time shards in existence. What are you doing here, O'Brien? Teddy asked as he laid on his back next to me to watch what I was doing. I kept quiet so I could focus. Teddy! Teddy, get out of there and let Lord Herobrine work! Fred called from underneath. He was too big to squeeze under there and pulled Teddy out himself, so all he could do was speak for me. Can I help? The little boy asked, completely ignoring the voice of reason. I just groaned. No, you can't. This is very important, and I don't want you messing it up. I grumbled. Teddy didn't seem to notice my in the zone mood, though. He just kept watching my hands anxiously as I tried fitting in the crystal perfectly. His anxiety moved over to me, and my arms began to shake with stress. Listen, Teddy, can you please leave? I can talk to you later, I said in as much of a controlled tone as I could use. Okay, Herobrine, Teddy said excitedly, as he turned back onto his belly and spun himself around to leave. As he started to crawl away, Teddy's leg kicked my arm, and the crystal slipped from my hand. All time seemed to slow down as I watched the time core shard slowly fall to the floor. If only I had been quick enough. The shard shattered and fell to my side in defeat. The shard shattered and I fell to my side in defeat, unsure what to do. I just laid down, flat on my face, and forced myself to think. The urge to just blow everything up and kill Teddy began bubbling up inside of me. I had to force myself to take deep breaths and remember why I was working on this in the first place. I just laid face down for a while. Lord Herobrine, are you all right? Fred asked in a worried tone. I turned my head to his voice and saw a worried look as he stared at me. Teddy was also looking at me with a lot of shock. He looked between me and the shattered crystal. He looked between me and the shattered crystal on the floor, just like my hope. I groaned and pulled myself out of there. I kept myself from looking at Teddy and Fred both, worried I might pull my sword out on old instinct and kill them. I could sense Teddy was scared by the dangerously low vibes I was giving off. Oh no, vibes. Dangerously low vibes. I'm sorry, Herobrine, Teddy murmured. His innocent little voice soothed my trembling inside a little. I then realized my arms were on fire by stress. I really did have anger issues. Just don't do bad, don't drink anger. Ah! I vented while looking around wildly, flames in my fists. I had to keep myself from hurting Teddy, so I quickly teleported away to the end. Once there, I looked frantically around for the nearest obsidian pillar. I saw one that was only mildly beaten up and flew right into it. An explosion of fire and ash going out of me along with bottled up anger came out on impact. I continued flying through it like a torpedo. Then I just punched it to my heart's content. The pillar was almost gone, and I was finally calmer. I took deep breaths once again, and the fire vanished off my skin. Looks like at this rate the entire end will be completely destroyed. Well, I guess it is better than the overworld. A voice I wasn't expecting to hear in a long time chuckled. I turned around and saw Evie floating to me at eye level. Her eyes were glowing like mine, which meant she had either been practicing some of her powers or fighting, most likely both. Or fighting, most likely both. Evie? I jumped back amid-air. What are you doing here? I got bored back at home, so I jumped into the game to kill the Ender Dragon again. The only time I can use my powers in the real world is flying over to Walmart invisible or something. Minecraft is so much more fun. Evie answered with a small laugh. I smiled slightly. So what angered you this time? The girl asked. I sighed as I thought. Okay, so this is pretty much me, you could say. I was literally just wearing a t-shirt. I forgot that I was in this book with like my real name and stuff. Usually I have like a fake kind of name for like my self-inserts. But yeah, I have a couple t-shirts that have my name on them, and I was literally just wearing one of them, but then I was like, oh, I'm gonna wear this one for the stream so no one knows my name. And then I was like, oh wait, this this is pretty much just me here, so good luck with it. Okay. Teddy bombed my Teddy bombed Teddy bumped my arm, and it made me drop the only time core shard I had. I huffed. Evie's face brightened up a little at probably the wrong idea in mind. Wait, did you get married? She squealed in excitement. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Okay, this part really isn't like me, but I don't know. I might possibly be like that. I don't really know. I just figured it's something that I could do. Couldn't, I don't know. No, Evie, it isn't that. I said, no, Evie, it isn't that. I said both, a little annoyed and a little laughing as that she would actually suspect such a thing. Teddy is just a little boy who arrived at my castle with his older siblings, wanting a place to stay. I interrupted Evie's little girly moment. She was usually chill, so it was odd seeing her suddenly step out of character. Yes, and odd indeed. I am very chill. How long has this damn stream been going on? I don't know. It'd take too much. I'm almost done with this chapter, so I'll look afterwards. Yay! Oh, what are their names? Evie asked. Okay. Oh, what are their names? Yeah, more like that. More chill. Evie asked with a little different kind of interest. Her usual chill smile in place. Chill. The oldest is Sebastian, probably 14 or 15. The second oldest is Madeline, who I think is 11 or 12. And the youngest is Teddy, probably 4 or 5. I answered, deciding to hand out extra info myself. Evie chuckled internally. What? What? I asked her, smiling. Oh, nothing. Just wondering if those names are common or something, because I have 3 friends in my class with those exact names. See, this is what I said before, that these people are based off of real life friends, and I was just breaking the 4th wall almost right there. Or was I? Was it just alternate universe stuff? She giggled. I would have rolled my eyes if I had pupils. Then an idea snapped into Evie's mind, and she smiled. Oh, Herobrine! I could help you find another time shard. I have nothing better to do, so it would be perfect. She smiled. I actually was writing this whenever it was summertime, so I literally was bored, and so I just put all that into this character, just so you guys know. A lot of this was like, yeah, I can relate. I can relate with myself. Wow. Okay. Wow. Thanks. They are spread across different worlds with the seed 1500 FD. So I make a few worlds. A few worlds and use this special compass to find them. As I said that, I handed Evie a diamond compass with a little gem on the top. She smiled and took it happily. Also, the 1500 FD, that is Candy the puppy, the Candy the puppy skin. That's the eye color, and I don't know. I memorized it because I used that eye color so much. And then eventually I was like, you know what I want to do is I want to put that into Minecraft and see if it's a seed, and it's an interesting seed. I don't know. Just a little background thing. Okay, No, thank you. Oh my gosh, I didn't put a space in the thank you. I guess that's just because it's older. I know writing now. I know grammar. Excuse me. Now I have something to do this summer break other than chores. Oh, she squealed. What are you planning on doing with a time core thingy anyways? She asked. I plan to all the mistakes I have made, I said while drooping my head. Oh, Evie said with a little sadness in her tone. Why sad? I was the one who gave you that ugly scar a couple years back, I asked her. Yeah, but you also gave me these powers a couple years back, and the scar has kind of grown on me. And you also helped me realize how much I needed my family. You unintentionally brought me closer to them by trying to take them away. I kinda owe you a thank you for that. Evie sighed. I was shaken by that. Evie? Saying thank you? For being the villain of the story? I felt like saying more, but didn't know what to say. Well, I guess I should enjoy every moment I got with these memories. Bye, Herobrine. She waved before vanishing. I then sighed for no real reason and teleported back to my lab. Fred and Teddy weren't there. Everything was so quiet. My mind was so quiet. Everything was silent. And that's it, folks. Thank you, one singular viewer, for tuning in. I salute thee. Nice. So yeah, thank you everyone for being here. If you want more of this reading book kind of thing, then just let me know. I likely am going to at least finish this book, and then I'm probably gonna make a playlist on YouTube. I don't know if I can make playlists on Twitch, but if I could, I would make a playlist on Twitch and call it Book Club, where it isn't just gonna be me sitting here reading. After I've read, in between and after reading some of my own books, I'm gonna get into voice like kind of group chats with my friends who are also writers, and I haven't really asked them yet, but I mean, I've kind of relayed ideas. But anyway, so what I'm thinking of doing is having book club where we all read a story, like one person reads a story, and then it's just everyone's reactions to, I don't know, just talking about the book, and kind of like book club. I don't really know. I think it'd be fun. So yeah, those who are watching this maybe afterwards, maybe you weren't here for the stream, you could still in the comments let me know what you think. And just, that's kind of it. Thank you everyone. Oh yeah, the camera's right here. Thank you everyone for watching. What? So anyway, thank you everyone for watching or listening in or whatever. And I hope that you guys enjoyed, and that this becomes a fun series that I get to do. So yeah, bye everybody.